you know, having these in really makes me feel like I'm doing this for the first time all over again. Like, it's really cool.
Like a virgin. Hey! Judge for the very first time.
And just like that, she ruins it. Hey, what's good, guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today we got something real special right here. This, my friends, is the very first pair of name brand shoes I ever got as a kid.
Hold on to your butts.
I used to just rock the Payless joints. That's what I thought new shoes were for a long ass time until about 6th grade when people were making fun of me for wearing Eagles and Airwalks and LA Gears with the lights and the straps. I love those things still. But people used to make fun of me all the time because it's like, hey, why don't you get some cool shoes? And I was like, I thought my shoes were cool. I had no idea what the world of sneakers actually was back then. I was a young lad. So I started doing a lot of research because everybody was wearing shoes with checks on the sides. And I was like, what the is that? Turns out it was Nike. And again, this guy right here is just my first pair of name brand shoes, but this whole presentation is not what I got, okay? Because I got a $40 budget. I think that my mom was playing tricks on me. She was like, yeah, you can get a pair of Nikes if you get a pair for $40. I was like, what the where the hell am I gonna find a $40 pair of shoes? Back then, there was these things called newspapers, and on Sundays they would come in color. And in the back of those newspapers on Sundays, they would have colored ads, which all the clearance stuff, you know what I mean? Like everybody's like, oh, like we're trying to get rid of this and all that stuff. So I would search through those every Sunday. It took me a while, but I finally found this place called Oshman's, which I don't believe is in business anymore. And they had this picture of this black and white pair of Air Sonic Flights for $40. It was $39.99. And they were inside of a bin, like a big barrel, the kind that you donate shoes to. And I dug through there and I found my size. I pulled them out. They were tied together and everything. And I was like, Mom, I got them for $39.99. That's $40, please.
Please, 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 please.
And she got them for me. This is not that original pair, but it's the original shoe. And like I said, this is like my first pair all over again. Because look, this comes in a box. I can't believe they fit in this box.
Instead of being pulled out of a barrel.
They were in a bin. It's not a barrel, it was a bin. It was a weird time. These are gorgeous. I wanted to cry when I got these in because I just immediately was tossed in time. Back to my 7th grade year, remembering going to school with these for the first time and just thinking of how cool I thought I was because of that thing right there. I thought that I was the shit. And it wasn't even just that thing. Mine were a little bit different than everybody else's because mine said flight on the tongue. Everybody else's just said air. Mine said flight. I thought flights were the coolest thing since Air Jordans, and I just thought that this was dope, man. I really love this. I really can't believe that I have a pair, man. Like these are nuts. So I'm not really sure what to do with these just because this is not a shoe that's being retroed or anything like that. The sole is very reminiscent though of a shoe that is currently being retroed, which is the Air Flight Lite 2 mids or something like that. I just grabbed a pair. We'll get them in soon and we will do a review on them. But this outsole right here reminds me a lot of those. However, I was just surprised with the construction of the shoe, the tech, all of that stuff, because back then in 1992, even though I loved these things, it was my first pair, so I was inexperienced with what Nike was, you know what I mean? So like, to me, I just thought that they were all kind of the same. They were all great. They were all brand name shoes. Now that I have these in hand and it's however many years later and I can like look at them, I'm like, man, these are way low tech. You know what I'm saying? Like this is just not what I thought that they were back then, which is interesting because I still think that they're amazing, but it's just not what I thought. This whole thing right here that you see is all just one big ass cut sole, except for this little wedge right there on the inside of the arch, and that's actually EVA.
Oh, they're like Reeboks.
Exactly. Reebok actually just changed theirs.
I know, but I still wear mine.
They have the foam. Yeah. Man, why do they do that? They took out what foam was in there and they just replaced it with rubber.
And they try and act like you don't know.
Like I'm not gonna notice, right? Come on.
Oops, sorry.
Anyways, there is air in the shoe. I believe it's right there in the heel. Trying to get through this rubber to get to it would be damn near impossible. I remember this shoe, I wore them until there was no traction and it went through the sole and all that stuff, but it never hit the air and all of that stuff because these are really thick. I do want to pull out the insole, which I was trying to before, but they're so old. I don't want to break it. It does not feel like it's polyurethane. It feels like a type of foam, but I do think it's interesting that inside there though, there's a board last. So for anybody curious, this shoe was board lasted. I don't even think that it was necessary with all this rubber, but these were performance shoes back in the day, so they went the extra mile. At least Nike used to. Well, they still do go the extra mile. I shouldn't shortchange them for their new stuff. Their new products, even though they are sticking to a very small budget usually, certain shoes like say the LeBrons or certain Jordans and stuff like that, they really do go all out. It's just like the retros that they really cheap out on. So the stuff that we remember, like us older heads, were really fond of back in the day, those are the things where when we get those as reissues, we're just kind of like, yo, what happened? It's just not quite the same. My pair, I don't know if I said this earlier, I probably did, but mine was not this colorway. Mine was the simple black and white one. Mine were real plain. They were very much like what shoes back then were like. This shoe though, this colorway is very Aqua 8. These colors are all from the Aqua 8 Jordans, which I think is really cool because I don't remember seeing this stuff back then. I remember a lot of people just had white and black shoes or black and white shoes. If you had some colored shoes, it's because you had a signature, like a Penny or a Jordan or whatever, you know what I mean? Not always, but that's just what I remember. This is really cool though. Like this one was clearly tried on, but this one wasn't. It's still like factory in the box. Love it. This build is super interesting because we have leather on the toe, super nice leather too. Like you could feel it and you're just like, man, that's really good for this being a flight model. Like where this was like not an expensive shoe for them back in the day. This is in a time frame when there was the Air Jordan and that was the pinnacle for Nike. This was a sub shoe and they still have really great materials on there. However, the back half of the shoe is all synthetic leather and that's the part that I think is really interesting because right here, I'm not gonna do it right now, but I will try to do it in the B-roll because I think it would look really slick in slow motion, is if I press on the back there, the top PU coat, like the white vinyl coat on there, it just completely starts cracking and getting obliterated. It's insane. It's really cool to see. Some people might cringe and be like, oh, you're ruining the shoe, but it's like, no, dude, these are old. I'm older than them, but like they're old. The tongue is leather, a nice leather on top of that. The top of the tongue though is just really clean. It's very similar to what you see in the Air Jordan 8, where it's just like nice textile, big puffy thing. I love the Flight logo, dude. Look at that thing. When I look down right here, like this, I can't even explain what it does, but like I feel like I'm in the 7th grade. I remember just staring at my shoes while I'm walking and being like, I can't believe I have Nikes. I love the back though. The back is so clean, so classic. I just love it. There's all these little plastic pieces on here. I remember being infatuated, being like, man, look at this. There's plastic on my shoe. Because I was a big action figure, or I still am a big action figure guy. And yeah, and so there's like plastic pieces on here as the lace eyelets. I just think that these are really, really cool, man. While this was my first pair, 7th grade, I thought I was amazing. I thought these were amazing. I wasn't amazing. These were amazing. She was a little bit more privileged than I was. She was born in Nikes.
Yeah, except I think these were my only pair of Nikes until when I was, 19, and you bought me a pair of Shox.
But you did have name brand shoes.
I did, except I too, in the 6th grade, my parents had just gotten divorced, and I grew up in Payless shoes after these.
Well, a divorce will do that to you.
Well, no. I grew up, my parents were freshly divorced 6th grade year. All up before that, my aunt would always take us shopping and she would be like, have at it at Payless. So that year, my aunt was like, I'm gonna take you to the mall. Maybe like feeling a little guilty or something, being like, oh, these poor kids.
For real.
I was new to the school and I was seeing what everybody was wearing and everybody dressed differently than from where I had moved. I remember being like, yeah, I'm gonna go buy new shoes today. And they're like, oh, what are you getting? And I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna get the kind with the checks on there. And they're like, you mean Nikes? And I was like, yeah. Well, she took me to, is the store called Stride Right? And I came to school the next day in Mary Jane's. I definitely did not have any swooshes on the side of my shoes.
Damn.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a happy ending.
Well, yeah. So, but anyways, I learned more and paid attention more after that. And so then the next year I got my shell toes. And then the year after that I got my K-Swiss. And then it was all Converse and Vans up until I met you.
We just saw these K-Swiss that I didn't have them, I wanted them, I couldn't get those ones, they didn't have my size, so I got these other versions of K-Swiss. But back in, junior, senior year, like all white K-Swiss were like the thing. So yeah, and I just think that this is really cool because like
it's so small.
Oh, I know. But yeah, like you had your issues when you were divorced or your parents and stuff. I just had a single parent, so like she can only get me the Payless shoes, you know what I mean? And she was nice enough by the time I was in the 7th grade to be like, fine, you still get that Payless budget, but I think that taught me how to actually like value what I'm getting and all of that stuff. So I think that's really cool. But yeah, this guy right here just will always hold a special place in my heart. I think that these are amazing. Looking at these just reminds me of everything that I came from.
Do these get to go in the glass case too?
Yes, they do. Why wouldn't they? This right here is history. This is just one of them shoes. This is my first pair of name brand shoes. I would love to know your first pair if you remember. Some people might not, but like if you remember the model, the colorway, feel free to let me know down below. It doesn't have to be Nike. It could be any name brand. So it could be Reebok, be Adidas, all that stuff. Like I'd love to know your guys' stories. And what are these? Are these like Air Force Ones or like?
I'm pretty sure they were definitely like a baby shower gift my mom got.
Yeah, I know, but I'd just like to know what model it is.
And I only have one. I'm pretty sure the other one got lost at a racetrack.
If you know what these are, okay? If you know what these are, they look like the Nike Air Bigs, where they had the big Nike, but they don't. They kind of look like a Dunk, and like mixed with an Air Force. I mean, it's a crib shoe with an EVA wedge and terry cloth liner. Nice leather though. But thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all the support. That's pretty much it. And until next time, guys, have a good one.